This is AV SuperFriends On Topic, a 30-minute monthly roundtable focused on a single topic. This discussion will be opinionated, to the point, and saturated with our well-known blend of painfully won expertise and deeply ingrained immaturity.
The following is part 2 of an on-topic conversation that exceeded its originally intended runtime by a margin best described as an order of magnitude. In part 1, the panel discussed staffing, funding, and the institutional obstacles involved in building an internal AV integration team. If you haven't listened to that conversation, go back and do that first. Or don't. We're not your supervisor. Just know that we're jumping straight back into the conversation with absolutely no attempt to reestablish context. For those continuing with us, regular programming now resumes.
Well, I feel like Tim has at least one or two more questions for us. Mm-hmm. That's a feeling, not a fact. So, Tim, how many more questions do you have for us?
I'm just soaking up what you guys are asking.
I have a question.
The part about trying to figure out I forget how it was put now, but just to show the advantage of trying to keep all of it in house, how much money I'm going to be saving the university. Yep. Let's translate that to an FTE. But in South Carolina, literally there's only one bucket of FTE that is distributed across all the universities. Oh. So there's some states, there's some state stuff that goes on there, and there may not be any available statewide kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So the TLP option on the side.
Larry, I don't mean to step on you here, but because I see you're raising your hand. It sounds like we want to keep going. Are we going to keep going for a bit, or do we want to wedge in a little outro intro thing here, and we'll come back next week with more?
Let's keep going. We're just going to keep going. We're going to run this.
Keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
And so, keep asking you guys to make a call.
You're fine. You're fine.
It was just it was a thought of how much. Do we have 10 minutes left or not? I think we can do this in less than 10. Less than 10.
Well, I've got some notes I want to bring up too.
I got some notes too. So this is going to go long, and however this falls, it falls.
So for those of you who are still waiting in the parking lot at work right now, who are listening to this and mad because we've gone way over for your regular 30-minute commute,
get over it.
Blame Jamie first, and then when Jamie's done, blame Larry, just because he wasn't looking. This is going to be a longer discussion. We're going to keep it going because this is good info, and so we're just going to keep rolling it. We may or may not release this one as 2 episodes. Haven't decided yet. We'll figure it out. So,
we'll figure it out. This is how it happens.
I wanted to know how do you strategically fail at things?
Yes, I actually have.
I mean,
and that's one of the reasons why I don't bring on more students is because they rotate in and out. I may have one next semester and then 10 next summer, right? So I can't depend on that to reduce the bandwidth for my technicians.
And we need to do a show about student employees.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We want to start that now?
We're going to do that one right now. Everyone just hold on. Hold us to do this. Okay. So this shows
student employees now.
Right.
I just ask that because sometimes that's also an easy way. Some of this sounds like a spreadsheet problem, right? Like number crunchers, administration wants to see on a spreadsheet how much, what's the difference, and what are you saving?
Thinking that they're viewing this logically as if we're saving all, and that justification equates to more people, and it just doesn't work because that's not the way the levers are pulled. It doesn't play that way.
And so sometimes when you look at this, and you say, "Well, I could take that project on, and we could do it for $100,000, but I don't have the bandwidth. If you give me a couple extra people, we can take that on, no problem."
That won't
otherwise, I know, but otherwise, it's like, okay, well, you're going to shuffle that out. And it's going to be $250,000. Like, wait, what? Yeah, it's double the cost if you go out with it.
One
way it makes people think it's a spreadsheet problem at that point.
Yeah, I mean, one way we did it a long time ago, which is why we got our 2 or 3 internal positions that are still here, and this was 15 years ago, is I wrote a business proposal, and really the core of it was, this is how much we spend in installation to contractors outside the university, and this is how much we're spending in programming. You add all that up, this is how many FTEs that exist. And this trend has been happening over the course of the past 5 to 6 years, and it's only going to go up. And so it's almost like a business proposal. It just depends on how your leadership thinks, if they think based upon time or money. And it's one of the two. And
especially if it's coming from their budget.
But it's coming, correct.
Capital projects are harder because it comes from magical, mystical dollars.
It's too sporadic.
And then you got like all the health insurance and all these extra costs.
Well, that's the larger cost. It's not the take home.
It's just the support pool. It's the ticketing. It's my support numbers went from 5-minute turnover closure to 15-minute closure on average because I can't. Right. So now
you're hurting the student experience because.
But you have to. You have to kind of like fail a little, like strategically fail in order because you don't want to fail terribly. Then they just hire out somebody all the time. But you want to show that I could handle this. I just need pennies. I just need pennies. I don't know. I'm throwing ideas that I've used, but I've had more success than you. So somehow I don't know. I'm lucky.
I really think everything we've talked about so far, the fact that the state determines the FTE count is your roadblock. So the only way to address this is something you're not going to want to hear is I'm still going to push for the students because that frees up your full-time bandwidth to grow into these other roles.
I do want to point out, Larry, there is something, not necessarily an advantage, but there's something to be worked within that system. And Tim, you mentioned it earlier on, the idea that like there's these open, unfilled positions elsewhere in the division in IT somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
If you, especially, and it sounds like you've got a good working relationship specifically about this with your boss, which is a good place to start. They may be able to determine, you know what, there are these 2 web developer positions that have been open for over a year.
And sometimes they can now give me those.
Well, no, what I mean is sometimes they can take those, reclassify that, and then send that to you because I brought this up with my old boss a lot. Was like when I'd hear about unfilled positions, I was like, I can put those people to work today because, like you, I have not only the backlog, I've got the shovel ready jobs ready. Look at all the stuff I can do.
Right.
All these things that are instead of doing that in October, we can do that next month. So all this stuff we can do right now, and then you find out that there's some other position where they've got like some programming analyst job that's been sitting open for 2 years. Well, if it's been open for 2 years, they probably don't need it, or they're looking for a unicorn at the wrong side.
Or they're not paying enough.
Right, or for whatever reason. But they may be able to take that open spot and say, you know what, here you go. And then you've got all the rest of the stuff in place for you to get that state-identified state-identified spot for a position onto your team to do more stuff. So that worked for me twice.
Yeah, I think being able to show, one, like, your staff are working to the bone. Like, how do you tell that story? Do you have a mechanism which shows, and it's not like clock in, clock out. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, what's not being done because your staff are currently doing everything that they are doing, but it can't be something that's not your service yet. Like, it has to be something that's already your service, right?
Everyday service.
You're not meeting that because we're over here doing this, right? That's that strategic failure thing that Jamie talked about. And I think if there are earmarked FTE and monies around that you say, well, we could put some of that to use. You don't want to say, oh, there's a $110,000 position. Let me get that $110,000 position. What you want to say is give me a portion. I want a portion of that money to add to this so I can expand this role, not take the whole, because I would bet somewhere some strategic leader is saying, well, we're saving that amount of money, right? Because we're not hiring, we're saving that money. And so that's their savings by having unfilled position and understanding that they want to carry that forward. They don't want to lose it. So only ask for a portion, not a whole of a idle FT.
It depends on the salary dollars.
Yeah, again, it's going to depend on where you are. But I think like what Larry said, to offset the pain, to me, that is a student thing. Like, and then that's we've had the most flexibility around bringing in a student and speaking to that experience side, bringing them in, offering those opportunities, doing that placement, and building that so that your staff can be freed up to do this other work.
Because there is money for the student positions. People want to invest in student learning and these skills development.
It's an experiential learning thing. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I think understanding where you would go immediately if you did have that FT that's coming, you have that one expansionary piece, having a plan for that in place so that when that comes along, you're ready to go on that.
Tim's going to have a tent city outside his office where he's going to have to put all these people.
Space is a huge thing. I mean, that's hard to figure out.
They're building buildings all over the place. He's got more space than he'd ever want.
This is the final frontier.
Yeah, and the students go there and they play their Switch instead of doing the work I need them to do.
There's that.
Right?
You got to keep
on the student. A couple things on the students that come to mind. One, students. My personal opinion, students shouldn't have downtime. There should be plenty for them to do. If they're helping you with projects, helping you installs, helping you learn programming, whatever, or not helping you. If they're learning program, helping you, whatever that role may be, when there's quote unquote nothing for them to do, that's called preventive maintenance time.
There's stuff to do.
Just like you, I've got 350 spaces, I've got 600 spaces, whatever. Oh, that room was last checked 3 weeks ago. Let's get that checked this week. So yeah, it's one of those things. I think there's plenty of opportunity to keep them working. That also builds familiarity with the systems and all of that stuff. One other thing I did want to mention real quick outside of the student topic here, and Mark, you mentioned a minute ago about like telling that story of what you're doing and how you track how busy your team is and all that, because everyone will say we're all real busy, but that A means different things to different people, and B, there's a lot of people out there who aren't very busy. I have found what we started doing was pulling, and again, I had a very clever student come up with this one, leveraging the API. We use Team Dynamics for our ticketing system. We do the same thing in ServiceNow and others, but from that API, pull real-time data of how many tickets came in, how quickly they were addressed, that sort of thing. In addition, pull the project information. We do our project work in Team Dynamics as well. So we can say, we spun up 2 new projects. On these existing projects, we finished these 6 tasks. And the nice thing about that, it can be automated. So it's not something someone has to spend hours every week doing, but that can be automated to create a dashboard, which you can send someone the link once and they can kind of see what's going on. Also, take one of your old broken monitors, the TVs that have the bad color or whatever, flip that around, put that out there somewhere, make that your own dashboard somewhere, your own version of digital signage, so people walk by and see all the crap that's going on. We did a thing internally, was it 3 months ago, where it was a discussion of how many, what are all the projects we've got going in IT and all this sort of stuff. My team, my little tiny team of IT was 30% of every project in IT.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, my team is now 1/3 of the entire division, and yet we're this little group down here. What else is going on over here? So
and I think that's your story.
Being able to surface those numbers is a good way to start.
And that's your story. And that's how you start. That's why you're like, what do I need to, hey, boss, what do I need to produce? I have this, I have this, I have this. How do you want to see this for me to make this happen?
Are you doing a monthly or a report that's, like, I'm assuming you're doing consultations with folks who want to do buildings or rooms or whatever comes in. Do you provide what the estimated labor allotment is as it breaks down against your portion of the organization? Do you do that
I'm
at
not
all?
quite sure. No, I don't do any breakdowns like that, no.
Do you do consultations for folks who want to do integration across campus?
I did more prior to 2019, but since all these classrooms and seminar rooms got pulled into the provost, they gave me the same bucket of money to do the LCR, even though they added 70 rooms. So I lost a lot of my SLA revenue and my outside, consulting opportunities due to that. But there's still some, yes.
So, but you know where your staff are going to be next month, right?
Yes.
You know the things that are coming in the pipeline.
Right.
Does your leadership understand what that equates to on the direct hour per hour ask of your actual staff? Do they understand that?
My boss probably does, but his boss wouldn't.
Because that should be in your forecasting, is that this ask of my team equates to this amount of FTE hour.
Yeah, to follow up what Mark and Chris have said, like, I was pushing for a new FTE position on my team. And it was around event support, which isn't a service we actually offer, but is a service we offer. And so I had to go in ServiceNow, which is the system we use, and create an epic and a story just around that.
Oh my God.
So I can have my staff track their hours. So I can produce that dashboard that says, last month we spent 160 hours on
doing
event support.
Stuff.
Doing somebody else's job.
And then we wrote 192 stories. Give me a raise. Right, Larry?
I'm just saying that the data that shows that this has taken up this much time, it's easier to make that case when you have hard data associated with it.
You're not wrong. Document that.
It's just named weird.
Well, you're named weird.
Probably.
Burn.
Your mom.
So, Tim, kind of as we kind of get ready to begin our departure here out of this, I've heard of kind of two different versions of where your current work is, but where you want to build into. If you could have if I could give you all the money that you need right now to pick one position where do you think it would provide the maximum impact for your team?
I'm going to have to pivot on that a little bit and use your carving description. I would carve some of the funds for the field supervisor and hire another tier 1 tech underneath that. So I would still have my 4 techs.
I feel like it's always the mechanical side that is the most important, so we can scale that. And so as we move up that stack, it becomes harder to get those full FTE as you kind of go up. Those ones closer to the bottom of the stack are a little more, they're easier to get because they're more affordable typically. But you can kind of scale that way. And I'd be curious to kind of round the room here, if that would be the same approach. Would you all hire towards kind of scaling, or would you go to the top of the stack?
I can outsource that. I'd go to the top.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that's where I did that.
I knew it was going to be like different on that, so I was just curious.
I would say that's one of my, I'm looking at my list here, one of my tips is like, don't hire more techs unless you have a plan for them, sort of thing. But like that fixes your problem, not problem. That addresses the need right now in the next 6 months, maybe the next year. That doesn't really build towards 5 years from now. I would lean to. Well, it can.
If you hire the right tech and train them up.
I'm not saying. I'm saying as far as the labor force. So I would make a suggestion to either start with a project manager, project supervisor, project coordinator, or field supervisor, somebody to kind of do that more oversight, to take some of that work right off of your plate directly. I also like the idea of hiring the apprentice designer. Get a junior designer in there so it's not all on your shoulders, because even if that is a technician you're elevating into that role or something, that lets them to start building their own skill set, sort of thing. But that gets some of that, a lot of what we do, let's be honest, is repetitive. It's, I need this model wall box, this size EMT at this location, at this height. I need this size to screen at this distance. That can be outsourced to somebody on your team pretty quickly, but your team still then owns all of that knowledge work. And that's my opinion. I mean, I would start at the higher level with the project management, project coordination, field engineering, design. The other stuff, like Larry said, worst case scenario, I can farm that out. And honestly, I do want to bring this up because we kind of downplay it a lot. If you have a good integrator, especially a good integrator with a solid team, they can be worth every penny to hire them out to bring that in. So my model is I'm doing the design, I'm doing the engineering, I'm handing off a fully engineered design package, all that stuff. You guys are buying exactly what I say on here to the part number. Here are documents how I want it configured. Here's how I want it programmed. Here's how I want it set up. I want all this stuff. Here's how I want you to do light commissioning to prove that it works. Then we're going to come in and load our own program, commission, and walk away. That part in the middle, a really solid integration team, it blows anything I can do internally out of the water when these 5 or 6 guys come rolling in and they just blow through a whole building, and do top tier quality work. That's, in my mind, yes, it's still more expensive than me doing it internally, but it is worth every penny to know that when they're doing their work, hey, they did 14 rooms for us over the last 3 weeks, and I know every single thing is going to be done spot on correct. So just something I want to put that out there. So
that process that you just described, Chris, that you do, that's what a consultant is supposed to do.
They are.
I thought it was to come up with some vague notions and talk about AI.
Active learning and high flex.
It's all anyone doing high flex?
More screens, more AI.
Do that.
And I agree. I think at this point, having the knowledge or the technical manager, like the installation manager, and a knowledge-based person, because you can backfill labor with students. You can backfill
or
labor,
you can hire it out.
Or you can hire it out. Now, some places they don't have somebody they can work with, right? So, but
if you're
a lot of our work, a lot of our construction work is pretty simple. I mean, drill, screwdriver. I mean, we're not a ladder. I mean, you can train people on that pretty quickly, and they can rise quickly. Where
to that point, though, Tim's still turning screwdrivers,
right?
So if Tim's not turning screwdrivers and he's got that people power to do all that stuff, what would Tim do different? What would you take on that you're not able to now to help your team? Have you thought that through?
Yeah, I would be able to take on all of this Procore stuff, like you're saying. The 2 projects that are coming out of the projects that are completing here in the next month, I've been involved with since the beginning, but now they're asking me to make these decisions, even though I'm not responsible for any of it. I was there in the beginning because I want to be like Chris. I'm like, you're going to buy this and you're going to buy that and you're going to buy this. I don't support the other stuff. So once that was done, I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a fly on the wall, see how things are going, see when they need me to when I can get back in there and be trained on the systems. Show me how you ran the conduits. Show me what connectors you did this and why. Not, hey, this floor box is wrong. Tim, what do we need to do? No, that's not me. I wasn't involved with any of those decisions.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So for you, the challenge is actually keep and retain that work. Like you want to be there.
I want to be there. Yeah.
That's where having a knowledge. I'm going to call them supervisor. Ignore that. You have your knowledge supervisor and you have your technical supervisor that are running kind of all the under stuff, so that you can truly hand over to the knowledge side. This is the design and programming I need, project management I need, and on the other side, you can have a supervisor doing the full-time techs and all the part-time / student techs, right? And now you're managing that process, and now your full-time staff are the knowledge. They are the everyday actual doers. And again, swinging a hammer sometimes it's easier to find somebody that you can train to swing a hammer than somebody you can train to draw schematics and understand, God forbid, physics.
One other thing I wanted to bring up, and it's something that a lot of times I think people overlook, when you're working with integrators and you're doing outside bid packages and things like that, and you're getting quotes on the install job, all that, that's a great opportunity to do some market research. I do this every time. Every time I send this out, and I do 5 or 6 of these a year that are big formal RFPs. They go out, but again, it's all my stuff, and I'm like, and some will still like, can we substitute X, Y, and Z? No, get out of here. But I will ask them as part of that, what are your hourly rates for programming, for design, for engineering, for a senior tech, for a junior tech, for an after-hours service call? I ask for that, which gives me, A, it's just more curiosity, but B, it lets me adjust my internal rates, and C, it gives me the numbers I need to use for those justifications when I say, hey, to your point, you give me 2 more people, I can do all of this, and I'm paying this amount, which we all know in universities we're paying less because there's other things we're trading off for all that, and we all agree, and that's why we're here and why we love doing what we do. I can go work for an integrator all day long and make more money, but that's a different lifestyle sort of thing. But if I get those numbers on a regular basis, 2, 3, 4 times a year from 5 or 6 different integrators, that gives you real world numbers to show your boss or to show your boss's bosses to like, we do this. Here's real world numbers you see it's going to save, because they're going to charge us $150 an hour, and we're paying the equivalent of $75 an hour to somebody, with benefits and retirement and all the full package deal. So it's just something to do, and that's basically free research. And if you ask that of integrators, they will just provide that as part of their quote. I mean, it's absolutely, they will write that up and do it every single time. And it's free research for you, and it gives you those real world numbers you're going to compare against, so it's not kind of guesswork sort of thing. So just free tip.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. South Carolina has a state contract, and for the vendors to make it easier for me to purchase, really, South Carolina gets a little bit of their cut whenever they buy stuff, but they publish those numbers for tier 1, 2, and 3 tech. And each one of those are broken down into, the cable pull or the termination, the
there you go.
Project management design, or that kind of stuff. So I'm very aware of those, and I've leveraged those in the past.
Cool.
You're on the right track.
Yeah, it's just that tough hurdle of getting that
you hit a wall.
Administrative. They've bought in. It sounds like they've bought in. They just haven't wrote the check. So how do you get them to write the check?
Well, you find those empty spots. You tell them they don't need those 7 web programmers anymore.
And find some idle money. Look at your SLAs. Backfill some stuff you want to kind of scale immediately, and then identify with a plan and a position description that you're ready to go, and make that piece shovel ready.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the advice of trying to fill out that top and supplement the student worker side. And I know it's probably a different program, but the student worker, I have a website out there. Hey, apply. Do you want to be help desk, AV, blah, blah, blah. I had 3 applications last spring, all of last spring. So finding the student workers right now is a challenge as well.
I turned mine into an internship, an apprenticeship, and I went to the broadcast, the media, the theater departments, and I started asking for their nerds, and I had way better success. Go to computing engineering and start asking for their nerds, and all of a sudden you have success. But I called it an internship instead of student workers, because they all think that they're just going to be coffee boys and file people. And
ours are technical assistants. They're not even like AV assistants or anything like that. They're technical assistants for our organization. And then as part of that, we don't have like specific, but it is another show, and I think there's an opportunity there to kind of help.
I definitely think
put that
in
place. Yeah.
So Mark, I do something similar. I call him it's an IT technical assistant. Jamie, I started this when I was when I was there. So I found that works. Pitch it as an IT job. I talk about networking. I talk about programming. I talk about all the things that we do as part of AV. But I don't say it's an AV job. I say it's an IT job, and that gets more people.
It is an IT job. You're not lying.
It is an IT job. It's legit, but. To Jamie's point, like we're just going to be getting coffee and helping turn the TV on. So no, there's way more to this. But then I also do like a full interview process, because for a lot of these students, this may be the first time they've had a full formal, put on a polo shirt, come in and sit down, and we're gonna spend the next 45 minutes answering kind of those vague HR-ish questions. They may never have had that experience, so it's a benefit for them too. And it's rare that I have somebody who it's not really a hireable person, but it does happen on occasion. But there's been times I have to turn people away. Well, they'll come in and be like, "Hey, I you still have that job open?" I'm like, "No, we just hired like 6 more people. We're basically full for now." And once you find a couple of good students, and it takes a bit. There's a bit of like there's a term for it where like it snowballs a bit. You get 1 or 2 or 3 good ones, then they start telling their friends, and they tell their friends, and then like all of a sudden you've got like this like embarrassment of riches of like really solid student workers, and especially as you mentioned, freshmen and sophomores, so they're there for a couple of years. But yeah, I think we'll definitely do a show on.
Yeah, I think it's
students.
worth it.
Yep.
Right.
So Tim, I need to come back to you. As we said, this show is your fault. So was this
Justin's really?
Damn it, Justin.
This was an actual good show. Damn it.
Thanks, Justin.
Actual one.
Do you have? Tim, is there anything else we didn't get to? Anything that we didn't cover? Any other burning questions you've got? I know this was a lot to throw at you. You heard 5 different opinions. As you saw, we don't always agree with everything each other says. We do things very differently at different institutions, different states, different schools, all that fun stuff. Is there anything we didn't get to at all, just broadly, that you wanted to make sure we cover before we close out?
No, I appreciate your time and the insight and the input. Thanks, guys.
This is actually one subject a lot of us agree on this.
It's not like math.
Very similar.
Yeah, it's not physics. No, you can agree on this kind of thing.
Exactly.
I love it.
But the differences are, like Chris said, a lot of it's the states. It's the different how our different systems are set up, and that's the hard part to give you advice on, because
got to find those loopholes.
Yeah, it's how do you live in that gray area and find success?
Yep, 100%.
All right. Well, I'm going to roll out.
Roll us out of here.
And we'll hack this one up as probably a couple of different episodes. And
thanks for coming on, Tim.
Finally.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks for putting up with yet another episode of AV SuperFriends On Topic. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at avsuperfriends.com.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.